Hey guys, welcome back to Nova Legends podcast. We're going to wrap up the 2021-2022 season tonight. It was an unbelievable season, and a lot of the reason why it was unbelievable was the guys right here on this panel. We got a state champion, we got an undefeated regional champion, we got a guy who almost upset undefeated state champion in the regionals, and actually in regionals, Occoquan region. And then we got David, Coach Houston, surprise, I think as a 5 seed and won his district, a great run. And then Coach Ewell did his thing, took a young team, and you guys were competitive all year as well. So anyway, guys, welcome back.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Sure. Thanks for having us back.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Well, why don't we go in order and just quickly introduce yourselves and just give us a 2 to 5 minute summary of your season, highs and lows, and what you thought about it, especially compared to how we began the year. Coach Ewell, why don't you go first?
Man, I'll be honest with you, I get Doug Ewell, Westfield High School. I had a blast this season. No, we didn't win as many games as we would like, but it was a really good time. I'm so looking forward to next season just because of the energy that the season had all season long, and even the games that I went and scouted. It was just fun to have people back in the building, yelling, screaming, cheering, supporting. I felt like it was better before COVID. It's been better after COVID than it was before, which is really exciting. And hopefully that momentum keeps it going. Because I got a nice young team that's veterans, and now we're gonna be ready to rock. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, well, great. Well, I usually go in order, but I'm gonna Coach Poindexter. I want you to go last. So why don't we go to we'll go to Coach Houston. We'll go to Coach Houston next.
All right, I'm David Houston, head coach at West Potomac. So this year was really, it was interesting for my team. I had a really competitive schedule. We lost, I think all the games we lost except for one were 1 or 2 possession or less games. And we lost, and then we played in a really, really tough district. We had to bow out of I can't even remember when we had the last one. I think it was after the holiday breaks. We didn't play in the holiday tournaments. We missed some games there, which was, we'll get to it later, but pretty good, needed development during that time of the year. And then we went right into conference play, which was just a grind. The Patriot, we talked about it before the season started, top to bottom, extremely challenging. My team, I thought we battled. I thought we played, we were really young as far as experience wise. And we ended up finishing 5th in the conference, and then went on the road and beat Lake Braddock, went on the road and beat South County, and then beat Fairfax in the championship, which I thought was really exceptional for the up and down season that we had. And as far as ups and downs, more of just the stuff everybody else saw, interruptions, not able to just be consistent. And we were really able to use some life lessons of showing up and accountability and all that stuff. And once we did, we really went on a run. I think we won 8 of our last 10 games. So, it was really, really good year. I have a lot of guys coming back. We're looking forward to next season.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Coach. Great season. Now, Coach Rivers, one of my highlights of my year is when I went out and I watched the Potomac game. That was a very special night. You played at Potomac. Coach Honorary obviously coaches and played there as well. Son was one of the star players on the team. Amazing atmosphere. Two great teams. Division I talent. It had everything. It had great crowds, great cheerleaders. It was a special moment. So tell us a little bit about your year. It was almost one of those story book endings, but it was still an amazing year.
Listen, now that we have gotten this far away from it, I'm not as upset, I guess you could say. But perspective, I know we met and we talked, and I'll say I got a lot of confidence in our guys and the stuff that we do. But if I was going to sit there and whenever we first met and said that, we'll be sitting at 26-0 in the state semifinal, I would have asked y'all to go ahead and drug test me, because there was nothing and Lowe saw us in fall league. There was nothing that we had showed up until literally our first scrimmage. Matter of fact, not even our first one, our second one, we scrimmaged Coolidge. That I was like, we actually might be pretty good. Like, I thought we were talented, but I just was like, we're so young. We only had 3 seniors, you know, and all the guys that were coming back, even the seniors included, none of them were big minutes guys. Nobody probably averaged over 3 or 4 points a game the season before coming back. So we just, you know, we had a lot of guys that we had 5 sophomores. 4 of them played a lot of minutes. So, you know, it was one of those things like you don't know what you don't know. And we just played really hard. We defended, which was something that we've always talked about. And we got timely baskets from some clutch performers throughout the year, and obviously got ourselves in position to have the opportunity to go to the Siegel Center within a game of that. And then obviously didn't work out when a kid makes a jump shot that hadn't made a jump shot in all 5 games that you played them. So I just want to make sure that I say that out loud because it is therapeutic for me. But, you know, that's the way the game is. The ball bounces certain ways and things happen. Hopefully I'm on the Los track where I get to the semifinal the year before, and then we kind of break through because we're bringing all our main guys back for the most part. I mean, we lose those 3 seniors were really important for us, but you know, they won't like this if they ever hear this, but I say this every year. I think the guys stepping in have the opportunity to be better than what they were. And they are going to be more experienced than what they were coming into the season. So, yeah, that Potomac game was obviously a big game for us. Them being a perennial power in the county, us being a team that was trying to be that team in the county. And, you know, we might have thought we were. And I told our guys, listen, it doesn't matter what you do. If you can't beat this team that knocked you out last year and that embarrassed you on your own floor, it's not going to make a difference. So they're up for the first game. And then lo and behold, the game to go to the state tournament, it just would have had to been them. And I joked with Keith and said, you know, if you guys had did what you were supposed to do, we'd just be playing each other in the championship. And everybody laughed. But, you know, instead it was an elimination game, and it came down really to the last shot. And we were able to get a good defensive stop and a unusually uncharacteristic missed layup by Kyle Honore to put us in that position where we talk about the bounces of the ball. And that was one that worked out in our favor. So I'm looking forward to next year. Obviously, we schedule pretty tough, and we're going to do the same thing again. Everybody circle your calendars. We don't know when the date is yet, but me and Los are going to make the game happen that was supposed to happen early in the year. So, yeah, we're going to make that happen. And we got LC Bird coming up at some point in time, so that'll be a good matchup and a couple other really good games. So I'm excited for our team going into next season and getting back to work for sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Coach. Coach Craig over at Woodson, I got to see your team play, I think 3 or 4 times this year. Your team really played well. Obviously, a very well coached team. You do a great job, and you definitely had some great moments this year. So, you know, how do you sum your season up, and what are some of the highs and lows?
Yeah, Doug Craig over at WT Woodson. Yeah, I thought going into the season we were going to have a good team, very experienced senior laden backcourt. You know, we started 4 senior guards, who all 4 of them made all district this year, and did a really good job for us. Both 2 of our guys made first team all district. 2 of them were second team all region, Andre Pacheco and Sine Bangura. And then Alex Klein is another senior guard was our second leading scorer, made second team all district. And then our other senior guard, Brady Lentz, made the all district defensive team and honorable mention all district. So we were I thought going into the season, those 4 guys were all either starters or in our top 6 or 7 from the year before. So we kind of expected to have a really good group. You know, we finished the year 17-7, and like Coach Houston, you know, it's the Patriot district's a tough district. Finishing a tie for second in the district. We started the tournament as the 3 seed. We're able to win the first round game against a pretty good Alexandria City team. And then we ran into Fairfax in the district semifinals. We had a 3-point lead and the ball with about 2 minutes to go. And they went on an 8-0 run to close the game. We weren't able to close. And then Coach House and West Potomac upset the #1 seed. So we got bumped down to the 4 line, which probably in terms of if you put a top 8, 9 teams in the area who had a chance to win, I would think we would probably in that mix. We probably had the worst draw of anyone because we got right next to Hayfield in the bracket, played Carlos in the regional quarterfinals. I thought we played a really good game. We had it a 2-point game with about 2 minutes to go. And I give them credit, we preached to our kids in that game, all the pressure. If we could keep it close going late in the game, all the pressure goes on Hayfield because they're undefeated. Everybody expects them to win. That's a lot of weight when you're expected to win and be undefeated. And you give them credit. They didn't blink in the last 2 minutes. Ashton Pratt made a couple of shots. They got a turnover. We missed a couple of shots and we lost a 6-point game. Thought we played really well. I mean, a lot of the elements were there for an upset. I think Coach Poindexter would tell you we probably controlled the tempo of the game pretty well. We shot the ball really well from 3. I think we were like 8 for 13 or something like that. We held our own on the glass with them. We did turn the ball over a little bit. I think a lot of that was their defense was very, very good. And we had chances. We had chances to take the lead. We had chances to tie the game late. And they made the plays down the stretch and we didn't. And that's basketball. But I think I'm not sure 100% as my dog is growling at me. I think we maybe gave them the closest game they had in all their postseason games. It was right there, and we had our chances, but not to be. But, we have some younger guys coming back who are going to be good players for us next year. A starting center is a young kid, a sophomore, 6'6", who's got a chance to be a really good player. His twin brother was out the whole season with an ACL tear. We're going to get him back. And then pretty much, we started 4 other seniors, but then our entire bench was all sophomores and juniors. So like those kids will now step up into big roles. But anytime you lose senior guards, it's tough. But, we have some good players coming back, some kids that are excited to get the chance to kind of step up and be the main guys. And we're hoping that we're able to kind of get back in the mix again next year. And, the Patriot District every night is going to be a tough game. We're going to have to play good teams. And, we'll be ready to go. Like Coach Rivers said, our schedule is going to be tough. We're going to schedule tough out of district because I think, the program's back now to a point. I think we had a little bit of a downturn there after we won the state title for a couple of years, but I think the program's now getting back to the point where we're pretty competitive and we're going to be ready to compete with everybody year in, year out now, at least for the foreseeable future.
Okay, well, thanks, Coach. Well, Coach Poindexter, you did a tremendous job this year because all the expectations all year long. We tease you all the time. You had a big target on your back. You had to win it, and it's tough when you're supposed to win to actually deliver and to go through all those difficult moments that a basketball coach has to go through. And you pushed all the right buttons when you had to. You didn't get in your players' way, which you can do when you have a lot of talented players. Sometimes you got to let them just do their thing. And it just seemed that you had a storybook season. It was just an amazing season. It was great for us, the panel. We'd been together, we talked about it, and then all you guys went out there and had special seasons, and it was just capped by Hayfield's wonderful year. So why don't you take us through and give us several minutes of your highs and lows and what it's meant to you.
Yeah. So I don't feel like we didn't have too many lows as a team throughout the year. I mean, obviously, but we had some bad practices. I still talk about this game, the game versus WNL, the regional, what was that, semifinals? Yeah, regional semifinal, or that was state. Whenever we played WNL,
we played a state quarterfinal.
State quarterfinals. Like that game, we really could have went home that day because we practiced terrible. They didn't have school that day. And, it was a combination of different things that led up to that. And we got off to a terrible start. And I honestly thought that we was going to lose that basketball game. But, in the third, as we always typically have done in the third quarter, we went on a hell of a run to extend the lead a little bit. And then we was able to close the game out. But to me, that was the biggest low because there was a lot of pressure. And then you talk about how we practiced leading up to that. I knew that it was going to be one of them type of games, and it lived up to it. And we basically had to get out of our own way in order to get that game under wraps and control that game in the second half like we did. To me, that was our biggest low.
And our biggest high was when we played John Marshall. I thought that would be the game that would actually be the team to beat us going into it. Because we struggled versus we played Lewis, went to overtime to Lewis versus them on our senior night. So we struggled versus them, and then we had to turn around and go play John Marshall 2 days later. And I thought that would be the game that we lose. And to my team's credit, man, they went out there and competed at the highest level that I've seen them play all year. And we go versus 4 Division I prospects, 1 top 50 kid, man. Our kids lived up to the billing, and they went out there, put on a show in their event on their floor, and did the damn thing. So to me, that was one of the biggest highs besides winning the championship.
Loved every second of it too.
Yeah.
Every second.
Well, Coach, I wanted to ask you. I want you to go first on this one, but I want the whole group to talk about it. What has the state championship meant to you and to Hayfield? One thing that Coach Ewell and Coach Craig had mentioned, they're at football schools, and when they won a state championship, it probably didn't get the notoriety or the proper respect that you would think a state champion deserves. That's a very special moment. How has it been received at Hayfield? I mean, I had to pay you an appearance fee tonight for the first time, so obviously this is going to cost more money. But generally, how has it been received, and what's been the reception?
No, I mean, the reception has been great. I mean, you go 54 years of a program as historic as ours, when you had the type of players that's come through the program, and for none of them to win it, and then we come out here in 2022 and win it, and then not only win it going 32-0 in historic fashion. It's definitely well received. We brought the community back together. It's been great to see Hayfield packed as it's ever been throughout that playoff run that we had. I played at Hayfield. I watched Hayfield growing up, and it was like, to me, that was as packed as it's been. Like those 6 games or whatever we had at home, it was phenomenal to play in that environment. And so, and to see all the community come out, like the old guys from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and then even all my crew from the 90s, and then you see all the kids that graduated in 2000s, everybody coming back together and rooting us on. So it was great, man. And like I said, it was great to bring the community back together. That was sleepwalking for the longest time, and they got to come out and enjoy some good basketball and see some high level players that I feel is high level players on my team, and go out there and compete. And they followed us all the way through to the championship. And like I was in another podcast, and I told them, like, we really painted VCU orange that day.
You did.
And it was amazing to see.
Yeah. Anyone else want to go here? I know coaches Craig and Ewell, you'd mentioned that you felt like after you won it, it wasn't, it's still a football school. Do you think it's something different? It's Hayfield's culture. Do you think maybe it's post lockdown and folks are starving for some local sports?
Well, I kind of said that a little bit tongue in cheek about Woodson. I think Woodson's still kind of a basketball school.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know. I mean, our experience was similar to Coach Poindexter. I think, school been around 55 years. We had never won a region title until our 50th year of the school. And so that took a little while. And then we turned around and won a state title about 4 years later. And it's a big deal. And it's kind of the similar thing that what Coach Poindexter said. It's amazing how many alumni come out when you get to that level, people you hadn't seen or heard from in years, calling you up. I had a manager from my first year as a head coach from 2005, 2006, who called me, who was living in Richmond at the time. She had graduated high school, 11 years before. I hadn't talked to her in 5 years, and she wanted to get tickets to go to the game. How could I get tickets? So it's kind of cool. It kind of ties together a lot of different generations of people. And it's really good for us. That was our experience, similar. And obviously we didn't have an undefeated season or anything like that. But, anytime you can play in the state tournament is a big deal, regardless if you win or not. But even if getting to that level, it's a pretty big deal to do that, because it doesn't happen all the time. You gotta have a good team, but you also have to have a little luck. I mean, once you get past really the first round of regionals, everybody's really, really good, and you can go home at any time, and you can go on a run at any time. And that's just kind of the nature of playing tournament basketball.
Yeah.
I'd probably say the same as what Doug just said and Carlos. But I'm at a football school. Let's make sure that's clear. My school is definitely a football school, but difference between Carlos and Doug compared to my experiences, I've been at my school since it opened. And I've been there for 22 years, 4 years, not as the coach, but then going on year 19, but it's that experience is different. So we don't have as much history as 1954 or the Red Jenkins years at which I now call the Doug Craig years, because that's just the way I feel. But so those type of things are different. And then for me, losing it in 15 and a game that we probably should have won, and then being able to come back and win it was really special. But there's nothing better for Carlos, for Doug, and for all of us who've hanged numbers on a ball, regional banners, or whatever it is, for those kids to walk back in that gym and say, I was a part of that, and point to something is something that my kids, my personal kids, Cliff and Charlie, and those fans and the community, they can always go apart and say, I was there for that. Or we have a restaurant in the Westfield area, a Virginia Bagel, and he posts all state championships. He's got large poster pictures of state champions in the restaurant. And the kids go in there for breakfast on almost every morning. They're like, I remember that. So those are the things that last forever, that means so much. And when we're gone, they're still going to be there. So that's the best part.
Well, thanks, Coach. So, coaches Houston and Rivers, you guys both won, big titles this year. Did you feel like they were well received in the building and in the community as well?
Dave, you can go ahead first. I'll wait.
You want to go first, Coach Houston?
Yeah, well, I think for sure. With us, they were well received. I think for everybody, I don't know if it was Carlos, I don't know if you had the same experience, but for a lot of the fans, they weren't sure when you could come back. There was a period where we were back, then we weren't, then it was only parents, then everybody could come back. And, I had some people that were contacting me, right before the tournament, weren't even sure if they were allowed to come. And even though we'd been playing for a couple of weeks, but I thought our district championship game was, I was really pleased with the fans and the students that came and supported us. I thought our regional tournament games as well, I thought were well received. Late in the season, we got some of the old Alexandria fans that had just been following the team for a while, realized that, they could come back. I sent the messages out and everything. So and the kids came back. For my guys, we played 9 games last year. I had, total games with no scrimmages and 20 something practices. And then we lost games at the beginning of this year. And so for us to go from a 5 seed to, winning it, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
How did it feel to come back to the Patriot district and win it your first year back though?
Well, interesting enough, on the first podcast that we did, Julian said something, and I said that I thought whoever won the regular season wasn't going to win the tournament.
You did say that.
I specifically said that. And so I really meant that, especially I think after that we had already lost 2 regular season games. So I knew we weren't going to be the one with the regular season. But we were part of the Patriot district when we left, and and we had won it the 2 years before when we left, we won it back-to-back years. And so I thought my coaching staff, we were prepared for the daily, nightly grind. I thought we were prepared for that. The kids weren't early, and they weren't used to it. We played 3 conference games last year. So coming back to the league, I just really loved the competition. Playing, we come from a 5-team conference where you play 8 conference games to a 8-team conference where you play 14 conference games. Almost every one of them was a dogfight. Yeah, that was awesome. And then so of course you had to come back and win that. It was a little motivation.
That's dope though. That is dope to see that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks, Coach. Well, Coach Rivers, like you're building something special at Patriot. Folks that go to the game can feel it. It's a real community atmosphere. Beautiful,
Right.
beautiful gym, beautiful school. So it's kind of cool. We talked offline that you probably would have an opportunity to go back to your alma mater, Potomac, but it's kind of cool building your own culture and your own legacy, a brand new one.
Correct. We talked about a little bit offline, and it's as much as some people, especially people I went to school with at Potomac, might think it's crazy. Like I didn't even think twice about it. And that's really all been off of the fact of what we have built at Patriot and the community support we get, the admin support, the staff and the students. I mean, I'll agree with what a couple others said. I think that the fans missed us as much as we missed them, because the environments were. It reminded me, and Loesch, you can speak this because we both played in the '90s. It reminded me of back then, where you're playing games, and even when you're playing the teams that might not be as good, it's still a lot of people there. I know that there are a lot of good student sections out there, and I've seen y'all student sections, but our student section is something else, man. Like I'm telling you, they come up with themes every game, and they're right behind our bench, and they're amazing. They're a big part of our success. I'm kind of like in the same as Doug Ewell as far as like as you coaches, that my school was new. It didn't have all that history and everything else. I mean, the year before I got there, they won 6 games, and they won 6 games the year before that, and 6 games the year before that. So there was no history of winning. There was no history that the banner was bare. It was blank. So I remember our first playoff game, there was nothing but parents in the stands for our district tournament game. I remember that like it was yesterday. And when we came in, we walked in and we're playing Battlefield in the district championship, which at the time was the 3rd time that we were playing them. It was packed when warmups were going on. And I said, it's just night and day compared to what it was. And just seeing what it has become and everything else, and knowing that it's something that our players obviously having a lot of good players, but our staff has done a lot of work in building this and it's being something that was ours. And that's not taking anything away from Potomac stuff. Because like you said, going into a gym, looking in there and seeing things that you contribute to, every time I walk in that gym, I look up there at that banner, I look at those numbers of the district championships and regional championships that we were able to win. We were unfortunate, didn't able to get the state one, but being able to have that history and have that connection with guys. And I love the fact that we have built that at a school that opened in 2011. And that's something that every time we look up there, we know that that's something that we did. And just in a short time, I mean, we had probably 10 of our players at one of our games. I took a picture and posted online with all the guys that came back to watch us play playoff games. And that's the type of stuff, man, that you love every second of that. And, obviously being around you all and shoot, we got 3 state champs just in this panel. And like I said, I know, Dave, you've been winning a lot of games at West Potomac and all stuff district and whatnot. And so it's a lot of winning just in this group. And so just to be able to be mentioned with you all, even though I haven't gotten to that mountaintop yet, hopefully it happens. Hopefully next year. Can't take another year of it. But it's about the journey, man. And not to be cliche, but those are the things you remember. Obviously, the game is great, and being an assistant at Potomac and winning 2 there. The things you remember most is not even that last game. The last game is kind of like a blur.
It is.
The stuff you really remember is the whole season, the bus trips, the Christmas tournaments. Those are the things that you remember. Waking up early for practice on Saturdays and who was late and why, and the punishment we do. I mean, kids do something with us. We put them on a little carpet. They got to push it across the floor. All our kids get their phones out, start recording the punishment. And those are the things that I remember about the seasons, not so much the end result, but not saying that if I didn't win the whole thing that I wouldn't remember that for the rest of my life, but you get it.
Yeah. Well, Well, thanks, Coach. Well, what you guys may have saw this on Facebook. Coach Sherman may have, but there was a thread somewhere where the Prince William County coaches were stepping down, and someone made a point like, they better get some coaches in here that are not worried about wins and losses, but are trying to look out for the kids or something like that. And I usually I've grown enough where I can ignore stuff like that, but I said, well, these coaches, are we giving these coaches the support that they need? Is that why we're losing these really good coaches are stepping down when they're not even 50 years old? And she was like, well, I don't know. It's not about the money. That's not why they coach. They should want to do this for our kids. And I was like,
Right.
at this, I know Coach Sherman, you probably saw this. And
I did.
if this is the attitude people have towards coaches, most of the income you guys make is through your teaching. You coach because you love it. You love the kids.
Let's say 98% of it.
Right. It was a very offensive. It was a very offensive thread. And I went at it with this woman for a while. I just couldn't believe the things she was saying. Almost like, you guys are lucky to be coaching my kids.
We talked about these things as a group and the entitlement, everybody expecting things. And it's like, it's interesting just to listen to people's mindset when it comes to that. Like, hopefully they find somebody about these kids. And for them to say that, I know for a fact that West is all about his kids over at Freedom. You can say whatever you want to say about him, but he is all about those kids, and his players love him. They do. You can't say anything bad about him around any of them. Obviously Keith has been there a long time, being an alum himself. So it's unfortunate. Those guys didn't step down because of lack of support. I know that.
There is a lot of ignorance though around. Very recently, I had a parent think that my source of my income was from the coaching. Like they were pretty confident that I made all my money coaching. And
they have no idea. They have no idea.
Like, so to hear someone think that, in the last 5 years or 10 years even, just says how far actually away from, kind of even any sense of knowing anything they are. So it's hard to argue with somebody that, that really, really feels that that way. They don't know. Like, I think I did it with one of my court classes some years ago. If the amount of hours and stuff that we put in and all that stuff, it's something like, 11 cents an hour. It's something ridiculous like that. And, as a teacher, people talk about us getting underpaid, and it's not a lot about that we're complaining about how much we're getting paid. It's how much work we're doing that we're not getting paid for, just doing all this extra, the grading and stuff. And like for us, the film watching and the preparation and the driving the kids. And, I'm working some kids now, college stuff, and they're seniors, I should be worrying on the next guys, but, I'm still hanging on to those guys. So hopefully somebody's watching this and realizes how ignorant, so I didn't see all the thread. I saw some of that. And it just kind of let me know, like, they don't have a clue.
They don't. I mean, Los, we were talking about this on Twitter, talking about going to Pittsburgh Jam Fest.
Yeah.
We ain't coaching.
Right.
We're not getting paid to go do that, but our guys are going. So you make trips to go watch them play. I made a joke to one of our coaches. I said, this is supposed to be break time. Like right after the season over, I usually like to take like at least a month before I do anything. But there is no break because you're helping kids find AAU teams. You're helping kids find colleges to go to. You're still keeping track of grades. You got to organize a banquet. There really is no off time. And I'm not complaining because I enjoy what I do. But from my standpoint, 9 out of 10 months of the year, I'm doing something that involves Patriot basketball. 9 to 10 months. I give myself the month of August and the month after the season is over with. That's it. So that we are definitely not getting paid anywhere close to the amount of work that we're putting in to try to be really good basketball teams.
But should that be changed? Obviously, you guys, we've all seen Friday Night Lights. A public school football coach in Texas or Florida or whatever, they can make $100,000 a year, and just to coach. Do you think something should be done where coaches can make more money? Like,
I don't want those alums doing what they did to that dude in that movie. I can tell you that.
Can I
movie.
speak on that one? for a
Yeah,
second?
Doug, Coach Ewell, please.
Here's my thoughts. One, I know Carlos lives a little further out than most of us to our schools. The sacrifices that us as coaches make. So for our families, for our immediate families, I live 3 miles from Westfield.
Mhm.
I would love to be in a nicer, newer, bigger house and move to Culpeper. I'm joking, that's a little too far, but Haymarket. But I stay where I stay because to keep the balance so I can be at home for dinner sometimes with my family and things like that, to sacrifice for basketball.
Mhm.
You know, and so I think that those are the things that are missing. My other problem is you got guys on this staff that are on this panel that are lifers. They basketball lifers. I've been coaching basketball for 27 years. And in those 27 years, the pay has not changed, but very little. They give you a stipend, I think it was $11,000 to split between my freshman, JV, and varsity staff. It ends up being pennies. It ends up being pennies. And I'm just letting you know how I do it. I don't know how everybody else do it. They get paid more than I do. And I know that's crazy, but that's just the way I feel. And, you know, it's just ridiculous to think that how much we get paid for what we do. Now, again, we do it because we love the kids and we love the game. But if it was a part of Coach Houston's retirement or Doug Craig's retirement or my retirement, it would make things so much better. But it's just a stipend that doesn't even register on our retirement. And that's where the biggest problem is. And then you got guys that come in as first-year varsity coaches, and they're making the same as somebody who's been doing it for 20 years.
Yeah, don't make it.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me.
I ain't even think about it like that.
Nah, right.
So I think some of the things that push people out are the fact that people don't know what we're saying, right? Or didn't know, now they know what we're saying and how much it is, but put pressure on you as if it was your only gig, as if you don't have a family at home, as if you're not, doing everything that you can possibly do. They have no idea what the, putting Huddle on your phone. Like now all we're doing is watching Huddle all day long. Even when someone has told you in your home, put the Huddle away, right? You can still pull it out. And these are hours that nobody's, hopefully people just pay attention, because I think that's what some young coaches, I work with the young coaches at my school and other programs, and, letting them know kind of how to find a balance, like Doug was saying, you have to have a balance, and some of them that don't get that, not saying that this is any of the reason that any of the coaches this year stepped down, but for coaches in all sports really that step down, they often cite these as issues.
Yeah. You talk still like those guys are stepping down because they got sons that are no longer going to be in the program. Yeah. So it's like, well, my son, and I haven't talked to Wes personally about it, but from what I've talked to him in the past, he has a daughter that is going to be very good at basketball. Yeah. Who he wants to go watch play. And his son, his middle son, just graduated. He's going to graduate this year. So he was a senior. You have Keith, whose last son who plays basketball because the youngest doesn't play. He's graduating. So he's like, well, I want to go watch him play. And he's going to be all the way down at Wingate, North Carolina. You can't go watch him and try to coach a team to a state championship. Now, if you want to half-ass do your job, you can do all of that. Yeah. But like I said, these guys here, most of the guys we talk about, they're trying to win the whole thing. So it's like you said, trying to find the balance. I moved 10 minutes away from Patriot so I can go open the gym when the kids ask me to, and also be able to be at home a good amount of time. Like when we get home from bus trips and road trips and everything else, that I'm not driving 35 minutes to 40 minutes to get to my house. So.
Interestingly enough, probably on a whole other topic podcast, I specifically don't live in my school.
That's right. Don't want them to know where you are.
Well, I specifically don't. I'm not very far. It's like 23, 24 minutes and it's straight up Route 1. But other reasons. But yeah, it's interesting take on people that move closer for a reason and those that of us that stay out of the district for a reason.
Well, Coach Carlos and Coach Craig, winning the state title, you probably can't put a value on that. I mean, Coach Craig, when you go over to across the street from Woodson and you try to get a drink or buy dinner, I'm sure people will buy one round for you. Coach Carlos, I'm sure you're a celebrity right now. It's hard to put a value on that. I mean, is it worth it? Is it worth it every minute of it?
Well, I mean, I just do it because I love basketball. So, at the end of the day, that's why I do it. And,
Yeah, I think when you get into this business, and when I say this business, I mean the education business, because I think, whether you're a coach or a teacher or both, you're still working with young people. You're trying to be impactful with young people because you believe in that mission, especially if you're at a public school where you're not just coaching a team and going out and recruiting a basketball team and coaching a basketball team. Most of these kids that I coach at Woodson are not going to play college basketball. They're not going to play professionally. They're playing basketball because they enjoy the sport and they want to be part of a team. And winning is great and all this stuff. But there's a lot of other lessons that are taught. I just think, in general, in the education field, and I've said this before, I just think there's a general lack of respect and civility in general. And whether it's on the basketball court or it's in the classroom, every parent thinks because they sat in a classroom 25 years ago, they know what it's like to be a teacher. Or every parent sits up in the stands and says, well, why don't they run this play? They think that's what it is. 99% of the job isn't what plays you run or what lesson you teach in the classroom. It's your relationships and building those relationships with people, which is the buy-in that you get from people. And that is a skill, just like anything else. Every parent can tell us how to do our jobs up in the stands. Those same parents wouldn't walk into a doctor's office and say, hey, doc, I think you need to hold the scalpel this way. But they'll all tell me what offense I need to run, as if I don't know what I'm doing, as if I haven't put 22 years into this and understand that, yeah, we could run that offense, but your kid can't run it. So we can't do that because we've tried it at practice. Your son can't do it. So you have to make adjustments. And a lot of that is how you build relationships and understanding the types of people you work with and their personalities. It's not so much what offense you run, what plays you run, when you call your timeouts. It's understanding what works best for people and getting the buy-in from a diverse group of people that all are self-interested and getting them to buy into the concept of sacrificing for each other. That's the true value of a coach or a teacher that the average person won't understand from the outside because they sat in a classroom 25 years ago and they think that's what it's like now. It's a totally different world. Coaching and teaching now is a million times different than it was. I've been doing it 20 years and it's changed in the last 20 years since I started. Yeah. And that's the part people don't understand. We don't do this for the money. Frankly, I would do the job for nothing because I like being around kids. I like coaching. We do the job because we believe we can be helpful for young people. And I believe in that mission of public education. And I think that's the important stuff. And, I just try to tune out all that noise as much as you can with parents. It's not always easy. And from people from the outside, it's not always parents. Sometimes it's the basketball trainer that's working with that kid or the AU coach or the uncle or whomever. I just try to turn all that out and just build the relationships with my kids. At the end of the day, what is important to me is that when they leave my program, their word means something when they say it and they're accountable for their actions. And when they're gone and they come back, that tells you all you need to know. When they're alumni and they've been out 3, 4, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, and they come back and they come to games over the holidays and they call you up on the phone or text you or send you a picture of their baby they just said, that's the real good stuff. The wins and losses are fleeting. It's all that other stuff that's really important.
That's great. Well, thanks for what you guys do. I mean, you guys put on a great show, and it's great to go to the games, and you got to have great leaders that help us. You put these great basketball games forward for us.
Hey, Julian, just in case the Fairfax County Activities Department is listening to this, and Doug said he would do it for free, we're not doing that.
Doug said he would.
I think everybody on this panel would do it for nothing. If it really came down to not doing it or doing it for money, I think for nothing, we'd do it for nothing because we love working with kids.
Of course, no question.
Well, anyway, one thing, the rumors are already getting started. I already heard of a really nice guard who's going to Flint Hill next year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't think it was any surprise. Scoring a really good scoring guard. But one
Ooh,
thing,
I want to know.
if it was just between us, well, I'll tell you after the call. But,
All right.
but one thing I was impressed with.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
All right.
I talked to Coach Carlos about this on a couple of our post game debriefs. I was really impressed with the level of play this year. I thought this is the first year I've really followed since 2013, 2012, and I expected the competition to not be as strong. The way I see it, the players are more skilled than ever because they play all year long with AAU. They have personal trainers. You guys are with them in the gym. There's a real commitment to skills that I didn't see years ago. We do lose some top players to private schools, but the players fill in. Next man up fills in. So I've been really impressed. I was really impressed by the level of play. So what do you guys think? Do you think in the offseason we're going to continue to lose more and more players to private school, or do you think maybe a tide is turning and kids are wanting to play with their local schools?
Every year is going to happen.
Every year.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to butt somebody.
Yeah, I found my daughter is in the youth, I guess 8th grade, and so I'm around a lot of those kids and parents, and I'm listening to the parents talk. And there are parents, like these kids are getting ready to go to high school, and there are a couple of parents that were talking about sending their kids to private schools, right? So I just assumed they was probably going to some school that is no good as their regular public school. Then I find out that they're supposed to go to state team schools that are in the state tournament, like that were in the state tournament currently this year, right? But these parents are thinking and looking only at their kid's year, like they're following their kid right now, as opposed to looking at what's actually happening at the high school that's maybe 3 or 4 years ahead of where my child is. What's the coach doing? Who's going to college? The school that the person is not going to go to is sending kids to college on an annual basis. And even currently this year. And, I have some, parents that were asking a couple of years ago, have you guys, won any games recently? Like, huh? Have we won any games? So because of that fairly, ignorance, some middle school, I have one middle school that feeds to me, and the private school people will come in with the college shirts and the private school, on the shirt and walk through the hallways, and the kids think, oh, I got to go to that school. And it's just, I think until that changes, unfortunately, they're still going to keep going.
I mean, you guys are in, I'm just going to say bigger, let's say more metro type areas. I will say I benefit from the fact that, our area, it has a small town feel to it. I go to the middle school game, and I'm able to go into the little locker room and talk to the kids. And there was one kid who was really good, and everybody's saying, oh, he's going to go to private school. I was like, all right, well, good luck to him. And I walked in, I said, I heard you going to private school. And the kid didn't think that I knew who he was. He said, no, coach, I'm going to Patriot. I said, well, that probably was a good decision. So, because if he went to private school, he wasn't going to play. He's a good player. I'm not going to lie to you, but he is not going to go play at any private school that he wanted to go play at.
But Sherman, I got a question for you in Prince William. With the Highland School and Wakefield kind of blowing up, that's the BI, the St. Stephen's, the Episcopal, the Paul VI, the Flint Hill of our area.
Let me say this. Yeah, let me say this when it comes to that. There are probably 4 kids on that Highland team that were supposed to be with us that were talented enough to be all region, all state level kids. So that is the one place that I want to go away.
I just wondered because I hear about, man, I'm going to Highland, and I'm like, man, Highland must be blowing up. Well,
they've had some success. They've had some good players. They got a kid who's at Villanova right now, the Brizzy kid. They actually lost a couple kids. Since everybody being super secretive, I don't play the secrets. They lost the Abraham kid and the big kid. They both going to Paul VI, from what I've heard.
Yeah, I heard that.
So they both are going to be gone. So that's a big loss for them. But I don't feel bad because Abraham's supposed to be a Patriot anyway.
Hold on, they lost the big kid?
So I don't feel one least bad about it. But I understood it because Dad, He's a good dude, played at Marquette, played at Kickintan. His son was a younger kid, and he wanted him to catch up in age group because he was like a year, like he started school early. So he was like, I want him to go to the reclass. So I think this was kind of Dad's plan the entire time because this kid's always been good, and now he can flat out get it now. He's like 6'6", and
That sounds like the Potomac school.
Yep. So guys, let's get Coach Bentley in there. Coach Bentley, can you just quickly tell us about your season? Just give us a few minutes about your season, some of your highs and lows, and how'd you do compared to what you thought you were going to do going into the season?
Well, as you guys know, we had a bunch of sophomores. We weren't going to do anything this year. I said that on our first show, and we ended up finishing third place in our conference, and I was very excited about that. A tough conference that, guys play hard every night, bring something different to you every night. So we ended up finishing in third place in our conference. It was W&L's conference to lose, and they took care of business this year. So I was very excited. If everything stays the way it does, I think we'll have a nice team next year. But you got the transfer portal in high school too, man. I missed the show tonight, but I'm for sure there's gonna be 4 or 5 of my kids thinking, that our third place is not good enough, and so they might be looking to go somewhere else. So you know how it is. I'm old now, man. So that stuff don't bother me no more, man. Like I told y'all earlier, if the kids come to Wakefield, walk through the door, I'm gonna love them. If he chooses to go somewhere else, good luck to him, man. That's just where I'm at right now in my career. So, but we did okay. Excited about next year. At the end of the day, I'm still coming back next year. I tell everybody the common denominator of Wakefield basketball is Bentley and Willis. As long as we there, it's gonna be some basketball coached. We're gonna coach, what we have, and we're gonna keep playing hard. So I thought the year was a success for what we had, and I think we tasted a little bit of. We lost to a good Madison team in the first round of the regionals. Coach Roller always does a great job, but we were right there with those guys. A difference of 9 or 8 points in the third quarter, them beating us was a difference of the game. With this young team, I think, we learned a lot from that. We bring everybody back. I think we'll have a pretty decent team again next year. But W&L's got everybody coming back again, so they're going to be really good again. So
Bobby's going to do his thing.
Yes, sir.
Well, Ashton Pratt, one of Coach Carlos's starters.
Saw that. Yeah,
he recently signed with Virginia Union in the CIAA. A great opportunity for him. Greg Jones is getting some big looks. He's only a junior. I'm sure we'll be hearing about Braylon on soon. The COVID year in the NCAA is still backing up recruiting. So you have a lot of good players who are still looking for opportunities. It's a little bit, I don't want to say alarming, but it's concerning, and not just at the public schools, at the private schools too. They're not getting opportunities. So what are you guys seeing? Anything different than what I'm seeing?
Man, I'm gonna tell you. So I actually posted something on Twitter today, just about the high school live period, and like not too many. I don't know if any of them, besides probably Sherman, has even done the high school live period in June, and I feel like VHSL is like really doing us a disservice by like not having an event in Virginia where everybody can come see us play. And like that, to me, that really hurts, especially for kids who for teams that have like talented basketball players who has the opportunity to be recruited. And that to me, that part sucks the most. So like for me, like I've been going to Philly for the past 3 years because there's nothing in Virginia. I can't get in, and then we can't get into the big one over at the Mather because we're a membered school.
Yep.
It's like
same thing with Blue Ridge.
And Blue Ridge is all these different rules that they put in place that to make it not be successful for public school kids, Virginia public school kids.
Right.
So how do we do our own?
The VHSL has to agree.
Yeah.
Now that's the problem, is that VHSL hasn't agreed to do that. And like, we're literally one of the only states who isn't doing it. And so we can't participate, like you said, at DeMatha or at Blue Ridge because we're a part of the VHSL. And the VHSL is like, our schools can't participate in these ones. Like, they won't let you do it. So like Lo said, like, I'm taking our guys out to Philly this summer too, because it's the only option.
Well, I make sure I say this correctly. I apologize for stuttering. So you're taking your whole team to Philly, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, and so I agree. Now, see, Carlos, you're in a different world. I mean, not Carlos, I should say, Sherman, you're in a different world than us. You can go to as many team camps as you want.
Oh, no, we can't.
Okay, I didn't know. Fairfax, you're allowed to go to 3?
You're allowed to do. You're allowed to do.
I don't know the
3.
rules.
Like, listen, my AD knows every damn rule and make sure I follow all of them. You're allowed to do 3 events. This is what the rule was. Now, I think that everybody started turning a blind eye during the COVID stuff because they knew kids didn't get all the opportunities. Because I knew people were doing all types of things and nobody was saying anything. And I was like, until somebody tells me not to, I'm going to do it this year. But you're allowed to do like a team camp, like a league, and maybe like one other thing. That is what the rule used to be. I'm not sure if it still is, though.
Right. So this is what I've been saying for the longest time is Sherman saying one thing, Lowe saying one thing. Where is it in writing?
Correct.
Why don't we have a book? Why don't we have something for somebody to tell us what we can and can't do? Until then, you're going to have guys going to 3, guys going to 2, going 1, because nobody knows exactly what to do. And you always say, oh, are they doing it? Or they doing it? Nothing's in writing. So this is why it's so terrible, because nothing's in writing.
Well,
a problem even on this podcast is that we're all coming from different areas. So even if it wasn't writing, us Fairfax County people, we certainly always get the chopped up version. You know, we get the and then somebody from, you know, Prince William and somebody from Arlington, like literally we are, even though the VHSL might say one rule, Fairfax County will chop that rule up. And then we might do something that violates, and y'all might do something that doesn't, and it's just fine. Like, you know, middle school teams, like Sherman, you got middle school teams, right? I mean, Tony, I think you could have middle school teams.
Oh, we do.
You do.
Yeah, we have 5
right, and we don't. And we don't, right? I mean, that's a huge advantage. It's not fair, but it's, you know.
Like when my parents moved out here, we moved to Prince William County because of that, because there were no middle school sports.
Well,
I'm just saying,
I'm under the understanding that we are allowed to go to 1 team camp.
Yeah, that's what I always thought. 1.
I always,
So I knew it was 1. 3. It turned to 2.
No, I said you could do 3
years
things,
ago.
not 3 team camps.
I don't pay
Two
attention.
team camps turned about 8
No, we
years
can do
ago.
2 team camps, but they can't
Yeah.
be in the same seasons. You can't do 2 summer team camps.
Right.
You do one in the summer, one in the fall, or one in the spring and one in the summer, or one in the
Right.
spring, one in the fall.
Like how
Let me
people
ask this
have those.
question.
What's up?
So can you take your team to team camp and not coach it? Is
Sure.
that still considered team camp?
No, if you don't, when you say
I think
team
it's
camp,
the
that
name
means
of the
we're-
camp, though. I think it's
For
the
what?
names like those tip-off bank tournaments and stuff, right? Isn't it hadn't something to do with the name?
Well, see, that's what I was about to say.
No.
Like you got those things like what Mike does. That counts as like a team camp.
If you coach your team directly, it's a
That's
team
a
camp. It's at a
jamboree.
team camp. It counts. If your summer league team coach wants to take a team to a team camp and coach them, that does not impact you. It's only what you can coach.
Well, see, I didn't even know that.
All right. Well, here's the other question: can you do? Because it's supposed to be one in one season, right? So, can you do a spring now, which is still 21-22, do a summer, and then do a fall, which
No.
is, well, why not?
You're-
It covers 2 school years.
I think the off season starts over once your season ends. That's considered one off season, I think.
Well,
But even a whole school year in like the summertime,
Yeah.
you might have
doesn't
to
that?
tell Julian not to post
There's a
this
lot
one.
of gray areas, and like Tony Bentley said,
That's
it's
why I
not
don't
going
pay-
down.
I just
really
like
clearly
to know.
anymore.
What to do? I just do what I do.
I agree. There should
That
be
Robert
a
Lowe.
book. There should be a book, and it should be a book for Fairfax County that has Virginia plus Fairfax County, has Virginia plus Prince William, Virginia plus Arlington, Virginia plus Alexandria City, that says here's the Virginia rules and here's what the specific, because like you guys saying, new coaches coming in, first year coaches coming in are truly going to be clueless, especially if all of us on here who've been doing it, you know, got 3,000 wins on this thing, we
Right.
don't even know.
I mean,
Right?
it's crazy because, like you said, you guys talk about the different rules you guys have, like with the red and green days, right? Like y'all have that up there. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then, like you have our county that doesn't have red and green days, but like I said, my AD is really good and he knows all the rules and makes sure I follow them. He says you can only do something 3 days out of the week. This is what I was told. And then I'm looking on Twitter and I'm seeing coaches in my county posting a 5-day schedule of workouts. So I'm just, like I said, I'm following a rule. And I remember before we start winning, I said, guys, I'm telling you right now, when we get good, we followed every rule possible. We did not cut any corners. We didn't cheat, because I remember my first year, you know, you have the dead period when another sport's about to start.
Yeah.
Okay. This was in the summer, like before football. I wasn't anywhere near the building. I got called because some of our kids snuck into the building, into the gym to go shoot. And I got called because they did that, saying, what if someone saw it and we would have gotten in trouble for that? I said, I had nothing to do with that. But then I'm watching other schools work out 5-6 times a week. So even within the county, things aren't the same.
Is there a competition committee like for the BHSL that makes these rules? How are these rules promulgated? Like you guys have heard me crying about all the classifications and all those things all year long. But
They don't put any of the coaches in it. It's like the ADs go, and then they just tell us what the decisions they've made. There's not one time that, listen, we're not going to get into this one because we'll be here all night. The shot clock stuff.
Right.
Like, how is it that none of us have sat in a committee to talk about this?
My principal was on that committee, and we had a talk about it. He called and said, what did you think? And the reason that it did not get passed, it was because they took a poll of like the last 4 or 5 years, and they said the ball went up on an average of 18 seconds.
I heard that too.
18 seconds of possession. So why do we need a shot clock? And I said, let me make sure this is simple. First of all, you want to make it the same as the private school so that your kids don't leave saying that they want to play the same thing as they play in college. That's one. But number two, you're taking this poll, or take the poll in the last 2 minutes. Don't take the poll of the first 6 minutes. Take the poll of the last 2 minutes when the possessions are changing and things are different. And that will be where you really see the difference. But you know,
how many states don't have shot clocks that are like Virginia? I mean, almost.
There's quite a few.
Oh, there is.
It's not as many as you think. I think there's only 8 to 10.
Yeah.
Of course, we'd be one of them.
Yeah. So, what about the officiating this year? How did we do with the officiating back tonight?
Tony, I was going all over the place.
Hey, I love my officials. I
think the officials are awesome. I will say the 2-man crew nights weren't good.
Oh, yeah, I agree with
and they were, and so I don't blame the 2 officials that had to do 80 to 84 game, point game, but the 2 official crews were challenging.
Was bad.
I agree with you on that, David. I told my AD in the future, I'll play on a Monday, I'll play on a Saturday, I'll play on a Wednesday, third. I don't care when you want me to play. Don't give me 2 more official games.
Yeah.
I think they should also, and I know they try. I talked to the guys this year because we had 2 officials and we played Lake Braddock, and if you guys played Lake Braddock, so in the Lake Braddock style game, like at Yorktown, you're up and down. I think it was each team was crazy. We had 86 possessions each.
Oh my God.
The final score was 97-95. And 2 officials, but even before the game, we knew it was going to be a 100-point game, that style game. I think they can look at some of the games, because then the same night there was like a 38-41 game where some teams just walked the ball up the court. But that was the 2-man game, which poor officials I didn't think was good, but everything else I was all right.
Yeah, I did go to the games that I saw. I thought the officials did a really good job. It was funny because Coach Carlos in the state final, it was the most strange officiated game I've ever seen. They called fouls on Hayfield in the first and fourth quarters, and they called fouls on the other team in the second and third quarter, and they didn't call any other. It was weird. It was almost like we're going to call the fouls, but I'm sure it was a coincidence, but it was kind of strange.
I went to my 9th and 10th man for the first time all year in that game.
Yeah, you did. And you know what?
In the first quarter.
They played well too. I was happy for them.
Gosh, I was stressing.
Yeah. But
I think the officiating, I mean,
that was a different crew though. That wasn't our crew. That was, I don't even know which area they were from, but that was a different crew.
Yeah.
That was a Cardinal thing too. That wasn't a Bull Run thing. We didn't ever have nights.
Y'all didn't have 2-man crews?
No. If it happened, it was because it was a mistake. So
Yeah, they got specific days where
right. I knew that because John Champ had Cardinal officials who's in our district. And they told me that when we were going up there. I think when we played there, we only had 2-man crew. And I was like, this is interesting. But, obviously, with COVID, the officials aren't going to be as high quality as they have been. But I think they did the best that they could considering the circumstances because it wasn't the same amount of really good guys. So the pool's a little bit shorter. But our guys did a good job of finding the right games to have the right guys at. And then if you were going to play a game that wasn't going to be a very good game, you were going to get those guys that probably just rep the JV game.
Yeah. Coach Craig, did you want to get in here? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think with officiating, I mean, at the end of the day, and I tell my kids this too, and sometimes you get a better crew, sometimes you get a weaker crew. At the end of the day, no official has ever won or lost a game for us. Even if you get a tough whistle, at the end of the day, you still got to put more points on the board. They don't decide the game on foul calls or travel calls or anything like that. You still have to play. You have to adjust the officials. They're doing the best they can, just like the players are doing the best they can. The coaches do. They're not trying to miss calls. They're trying to get it right. Basketball's hard to officiate. Yeah. Even at the high school level, it's a fast game. It's a physical game. It's not an easy job to do. And I think, on the nights when they have 2-man crews, we found the games were more physical. And the nights we had 3-man crews, it was a little under control, a little bit more. Yeah, I would say on this year in general, we had probably a little bit less experience on the court from the officials, but I never felt like they weren't professional or credible and tried to do the best job that they could do. And I think also that stuff with the calls, it tends to even out over the course of a long season. You get some nights, maybe you get a little better whistle. Some nights you get a little less whistle. It tends to even out over the course of the year. I think that stuff, fans worry about. I don't know if necessarily coaches worry about it as much. At least I don't. I don't know how the other.
I worried about it in that last game. I can tell you that. The times where I probably can remember more of it not being something that I was happy about was when we had the better crews. Maybe that's because my expectation was for them to get it right, and my expectations for the other guys were for them just make sure that we got through the game. So. I don't know. I don't know about it for y'all, but when we had experienced guys and they made some calls that made me feel a certain type of way, that stuck out more for me than the guys that I expected to be bad anyway.
Yeah, it is. Basketball is and I refereed for many years. It's a tough game to officiate, even on your best night. Things are happening so fast. You got a lot of pressure from coaches and crowds. So I think Coach Craig nailed it. It's really out of your control in some degree. You just got to kind of go with it and try to stay positive so your kids will be positive. And if you're using it as an excuse, maybe your kids will use it as an excuse as well. And then what good does that do you? So I thought we start to wrap up by talking about a little bit from each of you guys. What are you looking at this summer? What's your plan in terms of summer leagues and stuff? And then what do you have coming back next year? Coach Ewell, you want to go first?
Sure.
Yeah.
Really excited, to be honest with you. I haven't been this excited in a while. We lose a sharpshooter, and Will Vetter is going to be thoroughly missed because the kid can flat out shoot the basketball. But I'm really excited. We got a nice point guard in Brian Kennedy, and we'll kind of play a 2-guard system with Brian Kennedy and Austin Trout. Those guys will be really good. We got another guard, a 3-guard. We have a guy named by Jaden Haley, and he can really play. And we got a rising junior big man. His name is Michael, and he's going to be really well. He's 6'7" kid, long left-handed kid who I'm really looking forward to. He's been working hard in the weight room. He was thin. We're playing in the Fairfax Summer League. We're actually going to go to Eastern Mennonite and play on June 11th and a couple games up there. And then, we'll keep working out, lifting hard, trying to get stronger and, work out in the gym. We do Tuesdays and Thursdays after school, and we do Tuesdays and Thursday mornings with lifting for those who aren't in weight training. So I'm just excited to get the ball going.
So does that count as 4 days? As Tuesdays,
Well, the weight training is considered a day. Thank you, Tony. But no, we go Tuesdays and Thursdays after school. So excited about that.
Well, Coach. Thanks, Coach Ewell. Coach Carlos. Now you still got 3 big time players coming back this year, so no one's feeling sorry for you. How did your JV team do? And what do you got planned for the summer? And also, I know you're playing Patriot next season. Any other big non-district plans for the year?
So we're gonna play John Marshall again. We're trying to get that game situated, and
You might want to play up here this time, big man.
nah, we are.
Put a no redo clause in there.
Yeah.
Hey, they coming to us. They definitely coming to us after all that. So we're playing them Patriot. Trying to get a game with either O'Connell or PVI,
Oh, that'd be fun.
but they haven't gotten back to me yet, so I don't know if it's gonna happen.
They won't.
Big time.
Yeah, but I mean, we always try to find one private school to play, so I'm gonna keep working that angle, and then we're going to the Governor's Challenge. Go play 2 games out there. They said they're gonna give us two showcase games, so see what's up with that, and then all that is as far as players coming back, man, we got those 3, and then we figure out who the other guys are going to be throughout this summer. I'm either going to play at the Mathis Summer League or play at St. James Summer League.
Okay.
And I'm going to do the 2. I'm not going to say that, but yeah.
Coach, have you checked the
I don't
transfer?
want no problems.
Have you checked the transfer portal, Coach, for players who want to come to Hayfield for next year?
I mean, it's some rumblings, but until someone show up in Hayfield's doorstep, coach whoever show up.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, Hey, Doug, I got a question. Was it hard having Stu Vetter in the stands all the time, or did y'all have a good relationship? Like, how was that?
It was awesome, to be honest with you. He came to a couple practices. Coach Vetter, first of all, is a great guy, and he's got deep connections, which has been really cool. But I reminded him that what you coaching and what I'm coaching was 2 different things. I ain't got no Kevin Durant's. I ain't got no Justin Anderson's. I ain't got no George Lynch's and Aaron Baines. I got what the hand is dealt with you. And we work hard with that. No, he was actually awesome.
Okay. I was curious about that.
Let me tell you a Stu Vetter story. So I did a George Lynch podcast. I don't know if you guys heard it, but I asked George what Coach Vetter was like. He said he was great, but sometimes, he didn't always seem that fair. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, like you had to go over there and do his yard work for him. So I go up there, cut his grass or whatever. And he give me like a pair of a right shoe. So I get a new high top, just the right pair. I had to come back the next day and do more yard work to get the left shoe. So that was pretty funny. Yeah. Well, Coach Craig, what about you? What are your plans for the summer? You said you had some sophomores on the bench this year. That sounds exciting. So what are your prospects for next year? And also, who are your big non-district opponents?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I haven't really sat down with the schedule yet and really thought it through all that much. I kind of like to wait until I get the region schedule just so I know what dates I have and things like that. But we'll put together a good schedule. We'll probably travel again for the holidays again for the first time in a while. Coach Bentley fit us into his tournament this past year. We usually go on the road. We haven't for the last 2 years. So I'm looking forward to taking the kids on the road to get them out of town for a couple of games. In terms of what's coming back, our starting 5-man, Sean Donovan, is coming back. He's a sophomore this year, 6'6", can really shoot the 3, shot about 40% from 3, can step out. He's very talented, about 7 and 5 a game. I expect his numbers to go up. His twin brother, Bryce Donovan, who was out for the whole season with a torn ACL, who's another 6'6" kid who can step out and shoot the ball. Probably a little bit more of a guard-oriented game, and Sean's a little more physical. Bryce has a little bit more perimeter game to him. And then another sophomore came off the bench, Ethan Conklin, is a small guard who can really shoot it. He had 24 against Lake Braddock at home. And then we had a junior guard who was primarily our 6-man, Charlie Schmidt, who can really shoot the ball. Well, that's the one thing we will be able to shoot the ball next year. We have a lot of guys who can really shoot. That's going to be in spades. Our JV was about 500, but we started 4 freshmen on the JV. I have high expectations for those guys to come in and be good players. It's going to be a slog though in our league. I mean, Coach Houston has an all district level player back, a couple of them actually, and South County. I think they bring everyone back. And Fairfax has the district player of the year and the co-region player of the year back, and So it's not going to be any nights off, but this summer we're gonna travel, play summer league down over at Fairfax, and we'll have another team up at DeMatha, just like we've done for the last couple of years. We're going to team camp at Randolph-Macon College Paul Webb team camp at the end of June. We'll do 2 nights overnight there and get the kids down. We do summer league a little differently. We don't cut in the summer, and so we'll have 25, 26 kids playing summer league for varsity. We'll split them up half and half and give kids a chance to play and kind of see what we have. And then, we'll kind of get that going this summer. We've already started back. We started back lifting weights a couple weeks ago, and we'll start getting on the floor here in probably about 2 weeks. 1 day a week on the floor, 2 days a week lifting weights, and then kind of roll that through. And then in the fall, kind of ramp up to like 4 or 5 days a week.
Well, thanks, Coach. Well, Coach Bentley, how about you next? First of all, I forgot to mention this on the last podcast. I went to Wakefield for the first time in years. Your gym is beautiful. They did a great job, redoing the gym. And there's a lot of new gyms in the area now. But what are you looking for? I know you're worried about the transfer portal with some of your young players, but assuming that we can keep them all in the roster, how are you guys looking for next year? What's your tournament plans for the regular season? As well.
Yeah, we can keep the guys together. I mean, we will return. Like I said, 4 sophomores that saw significant playing time. I guess led by Kobe Davis was one of our top guys. He was first team all conference. He's pretty good. He's tough. And then we have another kid by the name of Seth Langford, who was a junior for us. It's really good. He's playing on my AAU team right now and getting better, playing with some experienced guys, which is really good. Got a shooter in Ricardo Snyder. He was a sophomore last year. And then the guy who, ran the point for us, he didn't start, but he'll start for us next year is BJ Willis, who's Coach Willis's son. He's going to be, tough for us as well too. So we got some pieces coming back, and we got Jose Fudd, who's a sharp shooter, who shot the ball really well for us. His sister, of course, is AZ Fudd.
Oh, is that right?
Played with
I was going to ask, yeah.
Yeah, played with UConn. So he shoots it just like her. So I know they got some competition in the family, but those guys, coming back, give us a nice chance. Now they've got a year of varsity under their belt to see the speed and things like that. So it'll be interesting, to be exciting. We'll amp it. Like this year's goal was to just teach the guys. You may have came to a game and didn't recognize Coach Bentley on the sideline because I was very calm because I had a young crew. This year will be a little bit more yelling and a little bit more cursing, because they know it now and shouldn't be as sensitive to some of the things that we say. So we're going to amp it up a little bit and be ready to go a little bit. We'll be playing in the summer league down in Fairfax, trying to get the guys going. And then we'll, just be ready for the season. We don't have no big expectations. We're just going to go out and play and see what happens. And, we'll go from there.
Well, thanks, Coach. Sounds like you have an exciting team coming back. So,
Yes,
how about you, Coach Sherman? So, you guys are building an incredible rivalry. You guys in Battlefield. You got a lot of players coming back next year, unlike this year. What do you guys got planned for the summer? And also, other than your matchup with Hayfield next year, which I'm sure it's going to be amazing. What kind of non-district schedule do you have?
Man,
Yeah, I mean, we definitely, like I said before, we had 3 seniors. It sucks, obviously, losing the guys that we're losing. Courtney Davis, Mike Hagerman, Nick Marrero, they were big parts of what we did, especially being guys that were good leaders for us. From a top,
no more.
Say it again.
You ain't worried about them no more.
I'll wait until graduation for us to start thinking like that. But I really like the guys we got coming back. Obviously, starting with Nasir Coleman, who I think is probably one of the better point guards in the state, in my opinion. Then we had Jay Randall. Both of those guys got all met accolades. Nasir was 3rd team, and Jay was honorable mention. So Nasir was first team all state. Jay didn't make all state, but both of them were first team all region guys. Isaiah Vick is another kid. He's growing every day. I feel like about 6'6" now. That's the kid I said is the cousin of Mike Vick. His dad, Dwight, is the one all over on the Facebook page and everything else. Desmond Hopkins, who is really big for us the last 10 games. You're talking about our sophomore class. He led us in scoring in our last 10 games of the season.
He's a left-hand kid, yeah.
Left-handed kid. Yeah, about 15 a game over the last 10 games. So he started to figure it out, and he just has a knack for just putting the ball in the basket. Then we had a kid coming off the bench named Mekhi Dillard, who's also a sophomore. Kid that's going to be a sleeper, kid named Brady Page. His sister actually played at Nebraska and won a bronze medal in the 2016 Olympics with the Serbian national team. He's about 6'4", left-handed shooter. And then, some of the other guys are going to fill in spots. Caden Bates is a kid that's going to be a senior for us that's going to step into that spot that Courtney is being our top defender guy on the wing. I think he'll do a good job of that. As far as our summer plans go, we are going to play in the DeMatha Summer League. I just heard back today that we're going to be in there. So hopefully we can go up there and have a good showing.
Thank you. Another Virginia team. Thank you.
Listen, I had to beg, borrow, and steal to get them dudes to let us in there. It was crazy because they actually came and watched. I think they were at the Potomac game. So we had that in the back of his head, but they had to do the whole process and wait for all the private schools to say if they were going to be there or not. So I'm looking forward to that and participating in that. As far as our out of district stuff, like we talked about Los, we're going to go to them. LC Bird is going to come up to us. Western Branch, I think, is going to come up to us. And obviously you have the Potomac game, and that should be a good one as it usually is. And then I'm still trying to figure out what we're going to do from a Christmas tournament standpoint. I always like to travel somewhere. But, as much competition and as much anxiety I can put them under before the playoffs happen, it's definitely going to be a lot different feel. I am going to be of the expectation that we should be really beating the crap out of people with the kids we got coming back. And unlike this past year, where we were kind of doing just enough to win some games that we probably should win by more, but that's what inexperience does for you. But, I can't complain, like I said, because we were winning them. So, I'm really excited. I'm excited about our guys every year. They work really hard. The biggest thing, you guys as coaches know this, they all like each other, which is always a good thing. And our guys that elevate up into upperclassmen always do a good job of carrying the torch to the next group, of being the guys that kind of make sure they set the tone from our culture standpoint. So,
yeah, it's funny you say like each other. I went to, and thanks, Coach Sherman. I went to watch Flint Hill play a couple times this year, and every time I watched them play, I felt like the kids didn't even know each other. It's like they just met, and the ability to play together and like each other. And to mesh is so important to a team, no matter how much talent that you have. Well, Coach Allison, I got to watch you guys play at least a couple times this year, and I know you had some size and you had some youth. So, what are you guys doing in the off season, if there is an off season? And who's on your non-district schedule for next year's season?
Yeah, thanks. We have a lot of guys coming back. We lost 5 seniors. 4 of them were bigs, but all of our skilled ball handlers are coming back. We had Donovan Bass Briscoe was probably could have been first team. I don't want to say should have been, but could have been first team all district. Was second team and was all region this year. Nigel Anderson is a senior 6'4" guard who. Was I think it was honorable mention or second team all district. We got those 2 are rising seniors, and then I had a shooting guard, Dominic Cienciolo, who was a shooting guard, lefty shooting guard. So a couple of years ago, we had no seniors on our team. The COVID year, we didn't have any seniors on our team. We had a lot of sophomores and a couple of juniors and freshmen, and so. With the purpose of, I think Doug, Craig said it earlier, like we're not coaching individual yearly teams, we're building programs that, can try to sustain from the kids that we get. And so these guys will be seniors next year. And so we expect a lot, we expect to play in the Fairfax Summer League this summer. We're going to go down to team camp at Randolph-Macon too. We'll be going to the July session. And then we are going to go to Charlottesville to play our holiday tournament down at the Daily Progress, which is a really good tournament. I highly suggest a lot of schools from our area try to go down there. Western Albemarle is good, and Albemarle and Charlottesville, those are always really good. Really good in St. Anne's Belfield, I think the private school down there. It's always really, really good competition. We've had some really good games over the years that we've been there. We're probably going to try to play if Coach Bentley will let us. We'll try to play in the falls in the fall league and their fall league. I think I got to put an extra like application in to see if we can get into the South County Jamboree, which is in the fall as well. So that's kind of our off season. We started lifting a few weeks ago. So I'm looking forward to it. I know, I was preaching to the kids all last off season that were coming from the Gunston to the Patriot, and it's going to be a different animal, and you got to be ready every night, and your preparation has to be ready. And so, it was a little shock at the beginning of the year, but by the end, we were playing our best basketball at the end of the season. We lost our last game, but like I remember telling the kids in the locker room, like, this is the best. Practices were great. Our last practice was great. We just didn't have a good game. We had two guys didn't play a good game. So this year I don't have to try to sell, anything. I mean, we now know we have to really, really work to be really good. And as opposed to nobody kind of knew who we were. Now I think people are going to know who we are. So we got to be really, really ready to play. So out of season, we had a really good schedule last year. We played South Lakes, we played Madison, we played a couple. Yorktown. I think you came to the Yorktown game. Yeah. And so then on top of that, with our regular, Patriot schedule, I expect a really good prep for us, and I expect the schedule to be really tough. With the hope in the end that at some point we can get Hayfield on our schedule. We were looking forward to playing them this year, and it was a game away from it. It just seems weird that we're so close to each other, and like Edison, we're so close to each other we don't even play each other. But we'll get it.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. Just also real quickly, let's just throw out there other teams to watch next year. Who are not on this call. I mean, obviously Fairfax probably is going to be strong. I guess someone mentioned WNL should be strong again. What other teams should we look out for, and also other players to watch from other schools for next season?
Battlefield will be good again.
Yeah, for sure.
They will. I mean, I don't have to like them to tell the truth.
That's all about the Sherman. Sherman, you said Battlefield?
I know. I wasn't going to bring it up.
Listen, if you ask, I'll tell you the truth. And the kids they got coming back, they should still be a good basketball team. Yeah. I would like it if they lost every single game, but it's not going to happen. So, right. So they should have a good team coming back.
Is the Nelson point guard still there?
No.
He was a senior.
He's a senior. So I'd say numbers because I'll probably remember. 5 was a senior. 24, the blonde-haired kid made that jump shot.
The left-handed kid,
yeah. Yeah.
Don't do it to yourself, Sharon. Let it go. Let it go.
Listen, I've already talked about it like 3 times on this thing. And then the little point guard they had, number
10. Number 10.
No, what number was Chase? Chase was 1. Nelson was 1. The other point guard was number 5.
Okay.
So those kids, but they bring everybody else back. And so, there's the other 2 seniors they had didn't even play very much. So I expect
Alexandria City has some really good players that are returning. South County has some. South County's going to be really good.
Back. South County got the whole squad back.
Everybody.
I mean, they lost.
He's pretty good.
They lost the point guard, but let me tell you something. I got Paul Anderson on my AAU team. I'm telling y'all right now, this kid is the real deal.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't really seen him play at South County.
He was the real deal this year. I mean, he's good.
I've had him for 2 years, and I'm telling you right now, this kid has a very high basketball IQ. He can play, and I'm telling you, who didn't play a lot for him last year because he was coming off his injury, getting better, is Caleb. Caleb Offwork can definitely shoot it. Yes, he can play. He's playing really well as well too. And just I'm speaking because these guys are playing with me AAU right now. WNL has their 3-headed monster coming back, and the big boy, Carlos will tell you, is a grown man down on that block, and he's getting bigger and stronger. And the 2 guards, Brian and James, these guys play together so well, high basketball IQ, and you can put them on any team and make them go. And they're going to be very competitive again. And now they understand what it takes. They got as far as they did. I think WNL is going to be right there again, fighting for another, championship or whatever. But
The big guy's Elijah, right?
Elijah Hughes, and he's got D1 football offers all over the place. That's why he doesn't play much in the summertime, basketball wise. But he'll be ready, just like he's always been. And then like I said, James and Brian have been putting up big numbers in AAU right now, but they're just unselfish. To coach those guys really good, man. They're unselfish. They look for other guys. They're gonna be pretty good, man. They're gonna be pretty good.
I would think Marshall. Don't they have one of the better players in the area? The Leonard is the Leonard kid. He's a junior, right?
Number 24.
He's a really nice player.
Yeah.
I would think anytime you have an all region guy coming back, that guy can carry the load until the rest of your group can kind of get some experience. I like their young point guard too. The Penn kid can play. I think he was a sophomore this year on their varsity. Was a nice player. So I would expect them. I know Coach Ewell's going to have a nice team. I think a team that everybody always sleeps on every year, and you're kind of like, you forget about it. Kevin Roller at Madison's always good. I mean, they are always good. They graduate guys and they plug guys in and they run their stuff and they play discipline and they execute well. I mean, I think they're always going to be solid as long as he's there. It just seems like they reload year after year after year.
I never know any of their players' names.
Like you said, they plug them in.
When you're on top of the mountain like Carlos, you don't have to worry about the little dogs down at the bottom.
I try my best to know every top player around here, and they never really have like that top guy,
right?
But they're always around at the end of the year.
Yeah, and then you look at them at the end of the year, and they've won 19 games.
They shoot the mess out of it. They shoot it really well.
Are we not gonna close the show without talking about South Lakes and Desmond? Are we?
No,
I mean they got a lot coming back too, right?
Absolutely.
I thought they had a lot of seniors.
They got the freshman sensation.
They got him. They got the Scott, and they got the big boy that played
Aiden Billings.
I don't know names.
Aiden Billings is a problem.
Yeah, I'm just telling you right now. Don't sleep on South Lakes neither.
You let him tell it. They're gonna stink though. So
we open up with South Lake. So
hey, let me tell you this right now. Aiden Billings is for real. They got the fresh. They had two freshmen come off the bench. You had Scott's kid and the freshman point guard. They're gonna be nice.
Yeah,
definitely. Right.
I think
South Lakes Jordan Scott, right? Is that his first name?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think South Lakes is almost one of those programs, like historically, that just they're always going to have talent. I mean, they just always they graduate guys, and then you come back the next year and you look up and they've got 5 more guys, that are good players. I kind of feel like they're just kind of like one of those programs. I just assume at the end of the year they're going to be a good, solid team, no matter what. So yeah,
I will say this: they'll miss that Tang kid more than they will miss anybody else.
Yes,
that kid was a problem.
For sure.
He was a warrior. Yeah.
So there's always good players around the area. That's the difference, I think. When you talk about 6A teams versus maybe sometimes the 2 and 3A teams, is that if you look at a 6A team, even the teams that maybe struggle to win games, everybody's got a kid or two that can really play.
No question.
So there's gonna be kids at some of these other places that maybe the team's not as good. But I mean, I thought they had a good team this year. Annandale, the one wing guard is a really nice player. The white kid, I'm blanking on.
Yeah.
I forget but the Andrew white kid.
Andrew Knowles?
Neld's kid.
He's
good. He's been starting since he was a freshman. I mean, he's a good player.
Yes.
And because Annandale lost all their other guys, and maybe they I don't know, maybe they're not going to be fine, but they might take a step down. That doesn't mean he's not a good player. And if you go over there and play them on Tuesday night and he's got it going, you get a guy like that can get 35 on you. And that's the difference between 6A sometimes and some of the smaller classifications, is that in 6A, there's always a couple guys that can play on every team. Like you got a game plan for those guys every night.
Yeah. And there's another kid, Tay Barber, that goes to Osborne.
Oh, I know all about him.
Yeah, that kid can go.
Yeah. If y'all haven't play yet, yeah.
Yeah, he just got his first D1 offer the other day.
Yeah. New student technology, right?
Yeah, he did. So he can go for sure.
Well, the question is, will he stay? Will he stay at Osborne?
So that's the question.
Now,
okay,
so
it's gonna be this year, right?
So it's a lot of stuff that's been going around about that. And, I know that the Wolves are out for sure.
Am I correct? Carla Sherman, am I talking about that school that I was talking about earlier?
That's one of them.
I'm just letting you know. That's what I heard, but
because old boy that got fired
Oh shit.
You know, he's over there as an assistant, so now he can recruit and not be breaking the rules.
Hold on, Stencil's over there?
Oh no,
No.
not that one that got fired.
Okay.
Talking about the one that was at OP.
OP.
Oh, okay.
Hey, listen, man, I'm gonna cancel my Twitter, man. I'm just gonna call Sherman, man. Seriously. Seriously. Sherman know it all, man.
Hey, listen, I gotta know, man. I gotta know.
I'm done. I'm canceling Twitter, man. I'm done. I'm done.
I was mad when y'all talking about a kid going to Flint Hill and I didn't know about it. I said, how I don't know that?
Well, I don't mind if you guys say his name. I just don't want to be the one that says his name.
Yeah. Oh, you just tell Sherman. Sherman said Sherman don't have no cut card.
I don't, but listen, this ain't my news. So I don't want to break that one.
Just let me know if you hear anything about any Wakefield kids leaving, Sherman. Call me first.
No doubt. Well, y'all got Fairfax Christian out there. I told that coach need to take me out to dinner. You keep taking a kid from me every year.
I tell you what, he got some players, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he does. Like I said, one of his kids would have started for us at the 5. There, a kid named Daryl Johnson, dark skinned kid. You remember him playing
Yeah,
with
we
us?
scrimmaged them. Boy, they got some players.
And Joe Baldwin, the other kid that's over there, played with. He was like number 0.
Don't tell me he
Who's the
was
little
one
point
of your kids too.
Huh?
Joe Baldwin is one of your kids.
Oh yeah. Now listen, I told you we got like 5 or 6 kids that are like legit first team all state kids that are not at our school.
Yo, I like
Who's the
that
little
kid.
point
too.
guard at Fairfax Christian.
I don't remember him. He's not
Oh, he's
one
from
of mine.
Roosevelt. He's from Roosevelt.
Okay.
Okay. That's
He's from
right.
Maryland.
That's where he's from. He was a senior though, wasn't
Yeah, he was a senior.
he? Yeah.
Y'all know
All
too
right,
much.
hey
man.
fellas, I got to work out in the morning.
Yeah, guys. So
All right.
to be Coach Bentley, sorry that we misconnected on the time. Thanks for joining us, all you guys. I really appreciate your time. It's always great to hear from you guys. I appreciate all your hard work with the kids. Can't wait to see you guys in summer leagues, and definitely can't wait to do this again next season.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Thank
No
you.
doubt. All right, fellas.
Appreciate it. Great job this year, guys.
Nice, guys.
Y'all too, man. Thank you, Julian.
Hey,
Yeah, you're
Sherman,
welcome.
send me
Julian, I
$9.99,
appreciate
man.
it.
I'm canceling my Twitter, man. Send me $9.99,
Hey,
man.
listen, just hit me anytime. Just hit me anytime. You already know.
And Coach
All right,
Bentley, if you're
fellas.
paying $9.99 for your Twitter, man, we got to have a whole separate conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
come on,
yeah.
Coach Bentley. Get that pro look money. Get some of that pro look money and
Here we
use
go.
it give
Here we
Sherman some
go.
real money there. You got at least $20 up there. I
Here we
don't
go.
mind
They
that.
say, and tonight it's over. Good night.
You guys.
All right, y'all.
All right.
All right.